Welcome everybody for Tuesday live training. The topic for today is be gentle with ourselves and protect our personal space, right? We have a lot going on in the world for today, and it's really about being gentle with ourselves with everything that we're going through. We're going to go a lot more into it. We're going to talk about the collective consciousness update, what a lot of us are going through on a collective consciousness on a mass scale, that can help us go through the present moment, go through the present now, especially with all the upturns in each of our lives that are continuously occurring what feels like in 2020. So we're going to talk about the collective consciousness update. We're going to talk about, what our bodies and souls need right now that can assist us in this in this, craziness, right? So we have that. And we're also going to talk about basically our personal space, right? We need that personal space and really to feel protected. So we're going to also be talking about that in tonight's Tuesday live training. I'll also have a couple of announcements. One of them I'm going to kind of throw in when I feel it's time. And another one will be a little, the first one will be, I'll say it now, and the other one I'll bring in a little bit later, is October 20th. We're doing a one-day workshop. So we're going to really be honing into the one day. It's going to be it's going to be basically 2 hours workshop, and different things in that one day that I'm going to throw in that can really assist us in tuning into our hearts, really diving into ourselves. And so this is just something new that I'm throwing on the table on October 20th. You can mark this in your calendars. I'll be changing the banner soon. I'll be, setting out the event, all of that stuff. So October 20th, it's a one-day thing, one-day mini workshop that can assist you in really tuning into your intuition, really going deeper in that level, and a little bit of tidbits of bonuses and other stuff I'm going to throw in on that one day. Even though it's one day instead of our normal Portal to Enlightenment workshop, which is around 8 days and so much information, I'm going to put a lot of information into one day that can really dive deep. So I don't suggest on missing this. It's something that's doable in, everybody's life, since our lives seems super chaotic right now with everything going on. So that's a little update, and I'm really excited to bring something new, something, more doable, kind of in the interim before the next Portal to Enlightenment. So woo! So hi Dami, hi everybody, welcome to the Tuesday live training. I am excited that you're here. Let me know, like the video, comment down below. Hi Sheena, hello. Comment down below, give thumbs up if you're excited about this. Again, the topic is be gentle with ourselves and protect our personal space. This really is about the collective consciousness, again, what we're going through in the collective consciousness. And with the collective consciousness, as we're going to be talking about that, we're also going to be talking about the 3 stages of living in this present moment right now. Because again, this present moment and what a lot of people are going through. I have client after client and, friends reaching out to me. A lot of things are really coming up, really surfacing, or really changing. Things that we don't have in our controls, like really showing up or really surfacing right now. So Kim said, yay, let's be gentle. Yes, let us be gentle with ourselves. And again, I'm really excited for tonight, and to talk about what our bodies and souls needs, and also that personal space. So again, welcome, yay, excited. So I am actually going to throw it in right now. The second announcement that I have is the heart-centered sliding scale, and I've mentioned this in the Portal to Enlightenment for people who have joined. The heart-centered sliding scale is going away. It's time. So the reason why I created the heart-centered sliding scale is because when I created it, it was for COVID. It was for, helping people get through this time and all of that. And now I feel that whomever is coming into starting November, whomever is coming into the Lightworkers Acceleration, it's going back to the normal price of it. So with that being said, you still have October, and we're doing the live webinar on the 20th, the day workshop on the 20th, where that is still a possibility for people maybe that are still needing it, that sliding, the heart center sliding scale, people that feel called to it. So know that this is your last chance. It is going away. Okay, it is going away. So if you wanted to hop into Lightworkers Acceleration program with the heart center sliding scale, now is your time. Now is your time. So hi Melissa, hi Sam, hi Kim, hi Sheena, hi everybody. Woo, love it. Absolutely love it. And again, I'm really excited y'all are here. And trying to pull up all of the comments so that I don't miss anything. Remember guys, this can be very interactive depending on how much information I have. So if you do have any comments, feel free to comment below and let me know, if you have any questions, if there's something you're not understanding, all of that good stuff. All right, so it is time. We are getting started for the Tuesday live training. So the first thing that we're gonna begin to talk about in this Tuesday live training, yay, I just saw a heart, yay, I love that, yay, another heart, yay, that made me excited, the little things in life. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is the collective consciousness, and a collective consciousness update. So, oh, love it, even more hearts, whoop, whoop. So first thing is, let's talk about the past. So the past in all of our lives, right? We are able to push things to the side. For example, we're busy. We're having a busy day and some emotions came up because some situation happened and, I don't have time for this. I'm just going to push it aside. Maybe look at it later. Most likely not, because we forget. Let's be honest with ourselves, guys. We tend to push it aside and most likely not get to whatever is surfacing until later. So with that being said, the past, we were able to do that, right? We were able to push things aside. So why did we push it aside? One reason could be we didn't want to face it. Whatever it is, we did not want to face it. So if it was pain, if it was hurt, if it was betrayal, if it was, and I'm speaking emotions right now, or if it's doubt, or if it's beliefs that we can't do something, beliefs that we're never going to get out of this feeling of being stuck, beliefs of anything that is just holding us back, okay? So that's one thing that we may have pushed aside and not actually looked into, not dove into even deeper, or maybe we didn't even know what we were doing at that time. So we pushed it aside or didn't know how to work on it or what to do. Again, this is kind of the type of stuff that I do assist people in Lightworkers Acceleration. I just got to say that, so I said it. So we may push something aside because we don't want to face it. We also may, think that we can wait for later. We do this all the time. It is a great way to trick ourselves into not doing something. I'll do it later. I'll look at it later, right? Even if that time is a fine time, you're like, I'm doing this, I'll focus on it later. And then what do? Boom, push it aside, forget about it, or say, oh, I'll remember that, and not. So whether it's, that conscious, I'm going to push it aside, but really not look at it later, or it's that not so conscious, like resistance where you just don't want to look at it. Okay, so that's another reason why we push things aside. Another reason we push things aside is because we talk ourselves out of it. We talk ourselves out of it and we basically say to ourselves, don't, I shouldn't look at this right now. I need to focus on the positive. I need to think about the positive, think about the future, right? That's a big one. And I've talked about this a little bit. I've been adding tidbits into the Tuesday Live trainings. I'm really putting in some seeds in there. But we tend to talk ourselves out of whatever it is that's surfacing, whatever it is that we're hiding from ourselves. Those beliefs, right? Those negative beliefs, those thoughts, those ideas, those emotions that we just push aside. So a lot of the times we talk ourselves out of it. Okay, so that's what we've done in the past. That's what we've done in the past. And because we're so used to doing it, we still kind of do it. But as you've been in this group, in the Lightworkers and Healers group, if you're new, well, then you're going to continue to grow. If you continue to participate, if you feel to, listen to your heart, listen to what feels good. Okay, listen to what feels good for you. So if you continue to participate, you'll continue to grow also. And for those of you who have been in this Lightworkers and Healers group, you notice that we've learned, we've learned to work on things, to face things, to look at them, that they're not going to go away. We can't keep suppressing them. We can't keep pushing them aside. And especially for people in here, a lot of actual like people who are light workers and healers, in whatever way, shape, or form, we know that it's something that we need to work on ourselves and grow in order to help other people. So what we tell ourselves in that instance is, well, I need to work on myself so that I can help other people. So sometimes, we're not even doing it for ourselves. Sometimes we are, depending on where you are in your own journey. So now we're talking about the past, right? So that's how we were. Now it's like, and I've mentioned this so many times, it's like we're being pushed and in a way force. It's not so much force, but in a way we're being pushed to look at our own shit. And I'm gonna say shit. Is it actually shit? No, it's not. So the reason why I don't like using that word, but I felt like it was relative at that moment, is because a lot of times shit, when we call it shit, it can give it a negative connotation. Just because we have our own issues, just because we have our own wounds, doesn't make them a negative thing, doesn't make them have like a negative connotation, but we still can have that connotation. I digress with that. So what we're seeing now, what I was just saying, is that we're waking up to a time of we can no longer skip over things. And what we tell ourselves, especially if you've been doing a lot of work on yourself, what we tell ourselves is, well, I look at a lot of things, I see a lot of things, right? But how many times have we passed up or not seen or had something glaze over, or a big pile of our quote unquote junk, or things that we haven't looked at yet, or wounds or issues? How many times have we done that? And a lot of times it's not even seeing that we do that, which is what I'm gonna get to tonight. So it's not about just looking at yourself. I'm showing you tonight how to see what you're hiding from yourself, how to see what you are hiding from yourself. Because if you want to really find happiness in this 2020 year, in this hardship of a time where it feels like we've had shift after shift after shift, thing after thing after thing, just knocking on us hard. If we want to find growth in that and enjoy what we're doing, love the moment, be happy with who we are and where we are, we need to look at those things that we've been ignoring. Especially, maybe we're not ignoring it. Maybe we're glossing it over and saying, well, I'm doing this for other people. So your focus is on other people and you're actually ignoring yourself. So on the collective consciousness level, this is it. This is what we're looking at majorly right now, is the fact that we are not looking at our own deep stuff or going deep enough into what we've already looked at. This one's a big one too. For light workers and healers, we may only go so deep. We tell ourselves, well, I only want to go this deep right now. We'll talk ourselves out of going deeper. There's actually two forms of that. Okay, and I'm gonna give you the stages of where we could be right now with everything. But there's two forms of how we can dive deeper into our own stuff. Number one is ripping the band-aid off. Okay, what do I mean by this? I mean that, say we're having these emotions come up, and I'm gonna put all this into perspective. But say we have these emotions or feelings coming up, and as light workers or healers, we are like, yeah, we'll go into it, and we go into it. But maybe not even consciously, we don't go as deep as we can. We don't ask to see the deep, deep, deep truth all the time. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So there's two things about that though. Sometimes we want to, go deeper and just rip that band-aid off and see it all, right? And I'm talking about light workers and healers right now because I know a lot of you are like, oh yeah, I'm head first into all of my healing. Let's do it. Let's rip the band-aid off. Let's go for it. For those people, what tends to happen is we push too fast. We push forward too quickly, and we don't actually sit into what we're going through and the emotions. We don't actually get to the nitty-gritty bottom of what it is that's surfacing because we're so focused on moving forward, on our own growth. So that's one side of it. Then we have the people on the other side of it. We're talking about extremes. So one group of people may push forward, and they're pushing forward so fast that they're not actually going deep enough because they're not giving themselves time to actually process, actually integrate. The second part of it, their second group of people, are the people that say, I can only go this deep right now. And they talk themselves out of saying that I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to take it too far. I'm not ready for it. And then you're tiptoeing into stuff, and then you stop. And then you maybe tiptoe a little bit more, but it's like you're going way too slow for your heart. Not for what other people think, but from what your heart's saying. Sometimes we don't even, and most times, the two groups of people that I just talked about, a lot of times we don't even see it. So right now, as I'm saying it, you might be like, oh, that's me on this side. I do go too fast, and I don't go into deep enough and sit in it long enough to really feel it. Then the other, or you can say, I do approach things very slowly. Do I go too slow? Am I going too slow? Am I scared to rip the band-aid off? And the reason why I'm saying this is because in the past, most of us were not ready to rip the band-aid off and to dive right in. So we tiptoed. Or, we went a little bit. But most people right now have the ability to rip the band-aid off, but to make sure they sit and they dwell in those emotions that are coming up to really feel them. Okay? So Dami said, I'm wondering which one I am. With that being said, as Dami says this, is that there's also that medium where you're both. In some areas, you dive right in because you feel more comfortable with what you're working on. In other areas, you rip the band-aid off and you go in as deep as but say, okay, you work on it, go in and really sit in that. The other part of it is some areas you are like tiptoeing it because there's fear there, whether it's conscious or whether it's unconscious, of why you're tiptoeing it or why you're tiptoeing around this, the emotions of it, the thoughts, the beliefs. And the reason why I'm bringing up the emotions is because this part is really, really important too. Because this is a big part of what a lot of us is missing right now, okay? So, with what I just said, I'm going to go into 3 stages, okay? The 3 stages of living in the present. The 3 stages of living in the now, okay? Where you can say you're in the first one, you can say you're in the second one, you can say you're in the 3rd stage. or you can say you jump around depending on what part of your life you're going through. So the first stage is, it's basically you're ignoring yourself completely. And most people, I'm not going to say you're in the first stage. In this group, in light workers and healers acceleration, the people in this group that come into this group are ready to grow, ready to learn. So I'm not saying on a full spectrum you're in group 1. There could be some things that you haven't dabbled with that can put you in group 1 for little areas of your life. But I'm not saying this is where you are, but some areas of your life could be here. So completely ignoring yourself, okay? Overlooking self, okay? Not acknowledging feelings. Fully, deeply feeling and acknowledging feelings. Pushing them to the wayside, right? Ignoring your body. Ignoring your body. And having that, it's having that, in a way, ignorance or being naive about it. Sometimes it could be ignorance, sometimes it can be naive. And whenever I'm saying ignorance, we've all been in that category. We've all been in the naive category. This is not black and white. This is, we have many aspects to ourselves, and some parts we're in that ignorance part. Some parts we may be in that naive spot. Some parts aren't even in the first category that I'm talking about right now, the first stage. So with that being said, it's that complete, like, hey, I don't want to look at anything. I'm pushing everything aside, or whatever the issue is. If you're looking at a specific issue, I'm pushing it aside. I'm ignoring my feelings. I'm ignoring all of it. And I just don't want to look at it. Don't want to move through. That's where I'm at. Okay. That's stage 1. Stage 2, and that's in for the present now. And I'll explain why each stage is so important and what can create a better now for you. Stage 2, and before I go into stage 2, I want to reiterate one thing, is that whenever I'm talking about the collective consciousness, I'm talking about the mass majority of the world, right? When I say collective consciousness update, meaning that a lot of people are going through what we're talking about in some way, shape, or form, whatever their path is. The big theme that I'm talking about in this collective consciousness update is ourselves. When I'm saying ignoring, when I'm saying throwing out whatever it is, when I'm saying anything like that, I'm talking about we're ignoring ourselves. We're throwing out something that is important to us. So yes, we talked about how important it is to fill your cup first so that you can serve others. Said that before. I'm sure you've heard it from so many people. That is really important. But how many times do we not do that? Truly. Like, I've been practicing this for a long time, and I put it into action, and I really had to learn how to set those boundaries. I had to learn how to fill myself up first so that I could give. But I'm constantly, or have learned that same lesson over and over again, because there's layers. Because we see one layer of it, it doesn't mean that lesson is over. Or soul growth opportunity. I'll say soul growth opportunity, not necessarily lesson. But it doesn't mean that soul growth opportunity is over. It means that there's another layer in your life where, okay, where are you not filling your cup first? And then there's another layer where you're not filling your cup first. Okay? With that, we have to practice that, especially light workers and healers, because all we do is give. So if we think about, because we want to help, and because there has been some unworthiness, whatever your past was, whatever, you've maybe worked through or maybe working through, depending on where you are, we give and give and give. And there's many times that we're giving so much that we forget to fill our cups first. For an example, I'm assisting, I have a friend over, I'm assisting with a friend, and enjoying her company, all of that. And I realized we were talking about some stuff that she's going through, and I realized, oh crap, I needed to stop our conversation about 30 minutes before I actually stopped the conversation, because I needed to have my own time to prepare for tonight, for the call before this Lightworkers Acceleration call and then this training. I needed to do that for myself. Okay, so we know this, but we still do it. That lesson, soul growth opportunity, is not going away, because that is the big theme of what we're going through right now, is what areas of our lives are we ignoring ourselves? Are we pushing away? Are we not truly feeling and not truly getting into the nitty gritty? And I'll talk about the veils coming up. So we talked about the group, or stage 1 of it. Stage 2 is we see things and are taking small steps, but we still have a veil over it. Okay, we still have a veil over it. Maybe it's areas that we don't want to see, all of that. Maybe it's conscious, maybe it's subconscious. What do I mean by a veil? A veil is something, I look at it as, if we're talking an analogy or some way to describe it, is you walk into a house. Imagine this house is your heart, your soul, your body. Imagine this house is you. And you walk into the house and you have a big pile of God knows what on the side. But you see this really pretty sheet laid up over it. And so each time you walk into the house, you don't even look at that. You glaze right through. You look at what's pretty. The sheet looks pretty. Say if it has some golden specks in it, maybe it gives a little flare. And then you walk right through. So how many times have you had those feelings where, okay, something isn't right? You're working on yourself. You're feeling something within yourself. You're looking at some thought or idea or belief that you have. But then you feel like there's more to something, or something pops up and you feel like something's not right or not fully looked at. But then it glosses right through, because all you see is a beautiful sheet, a beautiful tapestry over whatever it is that's hiding under. So then you go right into your house. You never worry about that, because there's a veil there. What do I mean by veil? That sheet, something that's glossing over, and that you can pass it over and over and over again, but you're not seeing it. So what I'm teaching tonight is how to remove those veils. And it's intention. That is the simple answer to this, is it's intention. But it's knowing, it's the understanding and knowledge, knowing that those veils are there. We just need to remove them, and we need to choose to see the nitty gritty, dirty truth. The nitty, and feel the nitty gritty, dirty truth. So say if you are helping someone out, so Kaylin says she does it all the time. Say if you are helping someone out and you feel something off with you, but you're so busy with helping someone out that you don't check in. You don't check in with yourself and say, how do I feel now? Is it time for me to take a break? Is it time for me to stop and go do something for myself? Most likely no. We see something that we need to do, that we need to help somebody, and we ignore ourselves. How many times, and you can give a hand up, you can give like thumbs up, whatever it is, how many times do we do that? Over and over. And we then tell ourselves, it's okay because I'm helping someone else. It's okay because I'll get rest later. When we tell ourselves, it's fine, I'll do this later, we are simply putting a veil and or glossing over what's truly there. We're not actually looking at what we need and what is actually coming up. We do that so much. We're skilled at it. You want to know why? If we think back to our growing up, our upbringing, If we think about society, what's the first thing we do? And I've talked about this in the last training is we push forward. We say everything's going to be okay. But what does that do? It stops us from being in the moment, checking in with ourselves, going into ourselves, feeling those feelings, diving into whatever is coming up. And then because we tell ourselves it's going to be fine or whatever it is, we don't do in that moment what we need to do for ourselves. And this is the collective consciousness. What a lot of us are going through is saying you can't keep doing that. So sure, we've heard this before, maybe not fully in this way, but what we may do is in areas that we're comfortable looking into what we need to, we will. But in areas that we're not comfortable with, it's really easy for us to not fully dive deep into whatever is surfacing or saying, hey, I'll push it aside until later, right? It's easy to do that. It's easy to say, hey, I'll push it aside till later. And then guess what? We don't get to it. Here's the difference. In the past, I'm not talking 2020, I'm talking like 2016, before that, way before that. We had time to put something aside and look at it. But if you think about 2020 and what's happening, do we really have enough time, or are things just piling up on us that we have put something aside and then it just gets buried? Again, we're putting a veil over it. We're putting a sheet over it. We're saying, I'll get to you later. But how fast we're going through these shifts right now, how fast 2020 is bombarding us, right? We don't have time to look at everything that we've already said I'll look at later, or glossed over, or ignored in some way. And we do that because we were so used to doing that, because that's how we were raised. That it will be okay, that we can get to it later, that we don't have to look at ourselves now. And then we have the times where it's like, well, I can't, I'm doing this. Say if we're helping someone else out and we felt something come up. And what do we say? We'll push it aside. But what if you could take 5 minutes, step aside, say, hey, I need 5 minutes for myself. Step aside. Put yourself first. Go in the grass wherever you need. Go wherever you need. Find yourself a little nook and dive into what's coming up in that moment. Sit in those feelings. The better you and the more you do this in those moments, the more it's going to become easier for you, because you get used to it, and then you're not glazing over anything, and then it's not piling up on you so much. And that's the thing with 2020, and this is what we're learning right now, is that we can't keep doing that. We can't keep doing that. Guys, when I say we can't, if I use such a strong word as can't, listen to your hearts. If I say anything that is always or something that's such an extreme, like this is direct, like this is the answer, listen to your heart, take what resonates with you, okay? So sometimes I say extreme words that are very direct. Take what resonates with you. That was just a little tidbit I wanted to add. So everybody's path is different. So is it to be fearful that if you don't look at, what's happening, that things are going to really start smoking up within you, and like you're going to get smacked in the face or smacked with whatever's next for 2020? It's not necessarily like that. It's not this punishment type deal. It's more of just showing us that the more we do take our time, give ourselves 5 minutes, give ourselves 10 minutes, saying, hey, I actually need a break, I need to stop, in the areas that we usually ignore, then we can really focus and get better at releasing and going into whatever it is. But to not rush it. We rush everything. Whenever we are looking into something, we want it over with. So when we dive into those emotions and we feel them, the first thing that we may do is start to try to release them. So if you know how to release emotions by breath, You feel it, you're like, okay, cool, I feel it, and you start to breathe it out. Sometimes, many times, that's not it. It's for us to feel those emotions, go into those emotions. Why? Because when you actually go into those emotions, it brings you deeper and deeper and deeper. This is where a lot of the fear comes. People are scared to go deeper and deeper. Say if it is fear. Say if what I'm looking into is fear. Fear is coming up right now. Say I have a fear of someone breaking in and killing me. Or this one just happened. Oof. I just had a dream about this. Where someone was on a four-wheeler and they jumped a rock. They tried to like lift up the front, jumped a rock, but the next rock that was there instead of jumping that next rock, they went straight down and crashed a four-wheeler. They flew off and went headfirst into a rock, broke their neck, killed them. Their head started rolling off. That was my dream last night. So say if I start going into a fear and I'm feeling it, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get out of it. And the reason why I'm telling you this now is because we're ready. We are ready, but you have to check into yourself. Okay? So if I start going into my fear of that, and I'm sitting there and I feel it, and then I'm allowing myself, and say I set the intention to remove the veils, which means seeing everything, the dirty, nitty gritty, horrific things that could come up while I'm sitting in that fear and feeling it. We want to rush out of it so much because we don't want to go deeper. But the time now is to go deeper. Remember, and I say this all the time, surrender to go deeper, but you want to set the intention that you do go deeper. You remove the veils, you see the dirty truth, and you allow yourself to go deeper and deeper because we're ready for that. In the past, if 2016, I don't know why that number keeps coming up, most of us weren't ready to go that deep. But where we are now with all of these collective consciousness shifts that have happened, all the changes that we made, whether the DNA activations, whether the experiences that we went through, we're ready for it. We're ready to go into the nitty gritty and see the horrific truths. With that being said, here's the third stage. Let me see. Tanya said, I feel like I live my life in such a way that I need to deal with it at hand. I need to deal and move forward, but for years, due to disappointment, I was just not willing to deal with it. But by not doing it at the same time, feeling it. Yep. Tommy said, I'm going deep. Woo! Kimberly said, yes, that's come up with me and my clients lately. Sam said, yes, trying to do this with grief now. Thank you. Yes. With what got me through my dad's death, so my brother's death, it took me like a year. But I knew how to do it this time. What got me through my dad's death is I went straight into all of it. I dove straight into those feelings, that pain of death, of knowing my dad wasn't going to be here to walk me down the aisle, knowing my dad is not physically here. And I sat in it, and I would let myself feel it. I would let myself feel the pain, feel the loss, feel all of that. And that is what moved me through so fast. I didn't rush it though. I let myself take as long as I needed. It took me 3 months, but that's what was the process that I needed. So with each of you going through whatever, and I feel like a lot of loss is coming up for a lot of people, whether it's death, whether it's breakups, whether it's some form of loss, I feel like that's coming up a lot too, right in this moment. And there's a lot of pain and grief with that. And loss could be change, loss of your old ways, loss of something you were so used to, something that you were holding on to from the past. And this is coming up right now. I wasn't mentioning this I didn't have it written down, but I'm feeling to say it is one thing that I'm working on right now is letting go of my relationships, the old ideas and the things I was holding onto in my relationships. I don't know if I said this on the last day's live training or not, but I'll say it right now. So my brother passed away, and I am letting go of how I was holding on to who he is, how I remembered him. But now I'm creating a new relationship, even though he's gone. Creating a new relationship with him. Creating a new relationship with my dad. Creating a new relationship with my mom, who is still here. And now, the biggest thing, which goes along with the collective consciousness, is I'm creating a new relationship with myself. With myself. This means not ignoring and going into the raw nitty-gritty of it. And stop pushing it aside. Doing it in the moment if I can. I do understand there's times where you don't have that. But the more you actually do give yourself the time, if you really can't do it, well then obviously you can say, look, I'll get to that later. But if you really can, it just takes maybe offending, not even offending, but you don't want to offend someone else, so maybe you don't want to do it. Remember to fill your cup first. Remember to fill your cup first, because there's ways to word things that won't be offensive to somebody else. But you have to give yourself that space. Okay. So the third stage is seeing the pure truth of it, where you're in the moment, acknowledging with no judgment. So this is exactly what I was talking about. The third stage is you're going day by day in the moment, going into whatever surfaces, you're asking, you're intending to see, to remove the veil. Your intention is removing the veil. You can pray to remove the veil and see the nitty-gritty of what you're going through, to sit in it for however long that is, and do not rush yourself out of it, because we can trick ourselves into that too. And sit into it. And if you don't know how long to sit into it, sit into whatever it is. I just got the message. Sit into the fear or the emotion or whatever it is of it until it dissipates itself, until you start to breathe it out automatically. Because sometimes we wonder, well, how long do I sit in it? It's like we want this like time slot, but everything that we're going through isn't going to be the same time. Depends on how much you need for yourself to release it. So the best advice that I can give with that right now is sit with it until it releases itself. Sit with it. Allow yourself to go deeper with the feeling or feelings or whatever comes up. Try to do one feeling at a time. It makes things a little bit more simpler. But if you're going into a feeling, sit with it. Go deeper with it. And allow it to resolve itself. So you don't need a time. So that is the third stage. So again, we can be in the different stages. First stage is completely ignoring. The second stage is like you're seeing things, but you're not going fully into the depths, or you're glazing over. There's a veil, still attached to whatever it is. The third part is like, no, I'm in the moment. I'm going into it. I'm feeling it. I'm going as deep and allowing myself to rip the Band-Aid off, but sitting in it and not pushing through it and allowing it and then allowing to release it. Those are the three stages. And again, different areas of your life could be in different places, but we want to work on getting into the third stage in order to really prosper and move forward in this year of 2020, especially where we are, because right now what we're looking at in this moment is to stop ignoring ourselves, and there's many areas of our lives that we may do that. And this is getting the recognition and the understanding to start noticing it, because when we notice it, when we see it within ourselves, knowledge plus wisdom is experience. So you have the knowledge now to do so. Did I say that right? Knowledge, experience. Yeah, I did. You have the knowledge now to do so. The experience is by feeling it, going through it, noticing, right? The action of the going through it. The outcome is the wisdom in it. Now, will it take time? Yeah, there's so many areas of our life that we do that we don't even notice. So it's becoming more aware. Self-check. Self-check if you're not, like if you're easily distracted or whatever it is, go back into your heart. This is why I'm constantly teaching to go into your heart. Go into your heart. This is why in the Portal to Enlightenment, I teach you how to go into your heart. Self-check so that we can become more aware. And if something feels a little off, self-check. And go into it. Oh, I feel like something's off. Go into your body, check into your body, check into your emotions, go into it. Really feel those emotions. Ask for the veils to be removed. Pray for the veils to be removed. Set the intention for the veils to be removed. Go into the nitty-gritty. Feel until it dissolves itself. So then that's, again, what we're going through right now. Now, the next thing that we're going to go into is, Antonia said I'm in the third stage for sure. That is awesome. And notice, guys, that we can say we're in the third stage, but there might be a second stage that we're in somewhere that we don't see yet, which is why we don't see it, because we don't realize that there's a veil there. But just checking in. So the next thing that we're going to go into with this, with the collective consciousness, is that our bodies and our souls, what we need right now to get through this time of crush, right? This, okay, when is 2020 going to give us a little break? And then we may get a little break, and then and it's like, it's heaviness, right? So doing this becomes a habit, which creates the happiness, because we're actually healing when we do this, when we go into it. We're not putting band-aids on it anymore. We're going deeper and we're healing even deeper. And we're ready for that. So with our bodies, this also includes lighter foods. So what I'm getting on a collective consciousness that we need for our bodies right now are lighter foods. Lighter foods can help us and assist us in feeling our emotions, which is why I've been eating so heavy lately, because I've been suppressing my emotions. Not fully, just there's sometimes that I give in. And we're not perfect, guys. This is not straightforward. I'm going to be perfect in this. No, it's practice. Just like the practice of going into your heart. Okay, so be gentle with ourselves. Be gentle with what we're going through right now. This is where the self-love comes in. This is where the self-love comes in. So lighter foods. That's a given, or it can be a given, because lighter foods, then we really feel our emotions. That's why people do fasting. A lot of people may do fasting so that they can really feel and go in, emotions really surface. What things that are hiding that we need to see really surface during fasting. So we get a lot more understanding with fasting. So if we're not fasting, maybe our bodies are calling for lighter foods right now. For example, how many of you are noticing how much you can eat meat right now? And I'm not saying this in generalizing meat is bad. I'm not saying this. People they have, what their body needs, where they are on their own journey. But meats can be very heavy. So notice for yourself, and this is check in to see for yourself, are you needing less meat just because it's a heavy food? Are you needing less groundings? Well, depends on if you need to be grounded, but are you needing less junk food, for example? More fruits, more vegetables, lighter foods. Listen to that, because that can also assist us in going deeper and lifting those veils, as I explained just now. So, lighter foods. Then we have abnormal foods. How many in here, and I would actually love to see this, so please let me know this if you feel to. How many of you are craving foods that you don't normally eat? Like, I don't even know why I'm saying this on here, but I tend to say things. Um, I totally thought I was pregnant because my body was just going insane, but I'm not. So how many of you are craving abnormal things? When I say not necessarily, it doesn't have to be abnormal foods, but it's abnormal from what you usually eat. I would love to see your hands. Let me know. I'm going to be looking. I think Tanya said totally. So, yeah, let me know with that. But so we're going into abnormal foods. Like if you're craving those abnormal foods, as in foods that you don't normally eat. So Sam said craving more sweets now. So Sam, fish and chicken for sure. Perfect. Okay. So the craving more sweets, Sam. Notice sometimes we need that to, okay, you're going through a really rough time. So sweets is a way to suppress. Sweets is a way to suppress. So whenever you're going to eat the sweets, and you don't have to be super hard on yourself, but notice, check into your heart. Am I eating this to suppress, or am I eating this because my heart is desiring it, whether it's suppressing or not? Because sometimes we need a break, and maybe the sweets will give you that little oomph, and that's okay. But notice if you cross the line and you're eating too much sweets to suppress. So that's for Sam. Chicken and fish, one thing about meats and chicken and fish is that they can be, about meats, they can be very grounding. And mushrooms and also chocolate can be very grounding. So notice, if you can ask your heart, Kaylin, if you're eating the chicken and the fish, is that for, you can ask your heart if it's for grounding you. So Nina said yes. Oh yeah. And then Tanya said, I eat everything or I eat light. Yeah. Yeah. So listen to your bodies with the sweets. I mean, not with the sweets. Listen to your body. I was just reading quick. With the foods that you're eating, the abnormal things that are coming up. Sam said, makes sense. Thank you. And for people who are craving sweets, you can ask yourself, okay, am I trying to suppress all this hard stuff? Melissa said suppressing here. I was doing that too. Yeah, it's one way that we're used to, or can be used to, suppressing our emotions, and that's why a lot of us will eat processed foods and go for like the heavy foods, processed and sweets, so that we can suppress. Rose said I could only eat chicken last week. Now I'm craving for salad or lighter foods. Yep. She said I've been eating seeds a lot more than normal. Kim said I've been craving everything chocolate or cacao. So Kim, with that, I mean, and you know this, is chocolate and cacao is very, very grounding and heart-centered. So cacao especially can help. It's a heart opener. Explains the snacks that go to bed with me. Nina, I've been in the same boat recently. I've been in the same boat. There's been snacks coming to bed with me. So it's giving ourselves some love. It's if we do suppress our emotions, okay, the next day let's try to go into them. Let's see, let's feel, and dive deep, because we're ready. We're more ready than we have given ourselves credit for a lot of people. Okay, so with the normal foods, a lot of us are craving water because so much is coming up, especially if we're working through it. We need more water. As you notice, you're doing energy work, you're doing remote emotional work, mental work, water. But sometimes water isn't enough. Our bodies are really consuming a lot of energy right now. We may need coconut water, we may need orange juice. My mom kept pouring on the orange juice thing. Especially since a lot of people are going through physical stuff, and I feel like a lot of illnesses are coming and or can come. I just got that message. So orange juice for the vitamin C. That's for a few people in here, and also for me. So orange juice. But you need more hydration for a lot of people since we're going through so much. And also, with that being said, I do need to add this in here, is with the things I'm saying, orange juice, or if I give you any advice for foods or any herbal anything or foods, make sure to, if you're on any medications, use your common sense. Don't drink orange juice if you can't drink orange juice. Or, for example, which is actually a big one, is don't eat dark leafy greens if you're not able to eat dark leafy greens, which has potassium in it. Things like that. So listen, that's just a little tidbit. Okay, and then the last part that we're going to talk about before this, Kayla said, you're my new bestie, Lauren. Mushroom and chocolate are life. I do love them. I do. I know. So the last thing we're going to talk about is, personal space and feeling protected. So we talked about how we're not putting ourselves first. We're not giving what we need first. Another way we're doing that is our personal space. Yes, we may not be giving ourselves time, which we talked about this, giving ourselves time, going through these stuff, diving in, really feeling, allowing it to dissolve itself, asking for the veils to be removed. But we also need our own sacred space for that too, because we can feel the energies of other people, right? Sacred space or personal space. So if we feel like we need to rest, and I don't mean rest as in not do anything. I mean, like, I'll skip the word rest. Okay, I'm getting to take that out. If we need our own space to do our releasing or whatever it is, then give ourselves that space. Stop making excuses. And I say stop making excuses because you feel like you have to do this or you have to do this. Is that the truth? That's something you want to ask yourself. In some situations, you don't have a choice at that moment, but really look into if you actually have a choice. So if you need that personal space, start giving yourself it. And it's not just for your own convenience. It's because when you're giving yourself that own sacred space, that own personal space for you to do whatever you need, or for you just to get away from the world, what you're doing is you're building trust in yourself. Because when you keep putting yourself around people or around situations or around certain things in your life, and when you're not listening to yourself, when your body, you're not checking in, and because you want to give more or you feel obligated or whatever reason, you're losing trust in yourself. And the more you give yourself the personal space that you need, the more you're building that trust again within yourself. And this is really important, as building that trust and giving yourselves that personal space, because the more we build the trust within ourselves, the more we'll be able to listen to ourselves, right? And when we're going into it all goes hand in hand. When we're going into our emotions and diving deep, a lot of times we can be scared and we're like, wait, am I ready for this? Am I not ready for this? Do I go into this? But then you doubt yourself and you don't know if you should. But the more you build your own trust, because you start listening to yourself in other ways and you're building that trust, then when your heart says yes, you can do it, you'll build more trust into that. It's all connected. It's not one thing of building trust in one area and one thing of building or losing trust in another area. When we build trust in other areas, it builds up our trust within ourselves altogether. So giving us that personal space, especially for what right now, because we need it, because it's like what we're releasing, what we're going through is so pertinent in our own growth, in our own lives. And that's why filling our cups first is so pertinent and so important for ourselves right now, so that we can give to other people. And not only that, we can then actually help other people go through this. And then because we've gone through and dug deep into our own stuff and allowed ourselves to rip the bandage off and see the nitty-gritty rawness to it, and we've taken away the veil, so there's no more of that pretty stuff, and you just see all of your stuff instead, and you work through it, you can then help someone else and help them get out of their own funk, because now they know what to do, because you have the experience and you are a little bit more able to assist someone else in that area. Depending on what you're called to do. Listen to your heart with that. But you'll be able to at least assist them more because you've experienced, just even if you're there with them. So if you really want to help other people, you have to fill your own cup, because what people need now the most is for someone to sit there and say, You got this. Instead of someone sitting there saying, it will be okay. Focus on the future. No. Focus on the now and what you're going through and release it. Again, if I'm direct with something, I say no or something like that. Take what resonates with you, leave the rest. What's most important is what you feel within your heart. I digress. With that being said, I'm getting a lot of likes with that. Thanks, guys. All right, so that is about the tidbit with our training for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I absolutely loved all the comments, loved all the hearts. Oh, and getting so much love. And I send all the love back out to you. Again, guys, I absolutely adore all of you. The new people that are coming in, that are watching these trainings and all of this. I'm getting to know you, and I'm really excited to do so. And I will talk to everybody soon in the next Tuesday live training. Remember, mark your calendars for October 20th. I believe it's a Tuesday, but check your calendars. And it's a 1-day live-in-R, and there's going to be bonuses and a lot of good information, even if you've done the Portal to Enlightenment. This 1 day is focusing on really honing into our intuition and whatever extra stuff it is needed. So I'm going to be announcing more about that. And last but not least, again, guys, the sliding scale is going away. November, we're no longer going to have any option for the sliding scale. It's going to go back to the price that it has been. And again, that was a COVID thing. I told you that it wasn't going to be staying for long. So if you have been interested in the Lightworkers Acceleration and you feel like you really need that sliding scale help, ask your heart, and jump on it, because November, it's gone. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.